Here, for this permutation sigma be a cycle in S8, we need to establish the idea that a permutation is a cycle if it has at most one orbit containing more than one element. Hence, before we can identify whether this permutation sigma is a cycle in S8 or not, let's talk about its orbits. Now, we have a separate video discussing the orbits of the same permutation sigma here in S8. But for this time, we're also going to show a certain process, but shorter and faster one, so that we could just automatically attack the idea of determining whether this is a cycle in S8 or not. Of course, we can solve the orbits using this idea. So the orbit containing 1, so we're going to see where 1 is being mapped to. So 1 is mapped to 5. Okay? With that, we will just continue and use now 5 and check whether it will return to 1, or if it's not, it will not. We were just going to continue doing the same process. So 5 is mapped to 8. Next, we have here 8. 8 is mapped to 7. And then you have here 7, and 7 is mapped to 1. Now, it returns to the first element that we tried. Therefore, we can have here the orbit. It's a set containing the elements. You have 1, 5, 8, and 7. Since it's a set, we can just simply rearrange the elements here. But since there is a continuation on the idea of a cycle and other concepts as well, let's just have this arrangement, because it's very important to have the correct arrangement if we talk about cycles and etc. later on. We are not yet done, because we still have the orbit containing 2. So 2 is mapped to 6. Then, if you have here 6, 6 is mapped to 3. And then, if we're going to continue that, 3 is now mapped to 2. So from this, our orbit now is 2, 6, and 3. So again, it's a set because it's an orbit. And we still have one more. We have the mapping of 4 as it maps to itself here. Therefore, the remaining orbit is a set containing 4. So we have 3 orbits here. Okay? And let's see from these orbits if we can say that the permutation sigma is a cycle in S8 or not. Again, as mentioned, the idea here is for this permutation to be a cycle in S8, it should only has at most one orbit, okay, containing more than one element. If I say at most, that's a maximum. Okay, there should be no more than one orbit containing more than one element. This has 4 elements. So you can see 1, 5, 8, and 7. This has 3 elements. And of course, this has 1 element. With all this in mind, we see here that we have 2 orbits containing at more than 1 element. Okay, so since we have 2, not just at most 1, we have exactly 2 orbits containing more than 1 element. Then here we can say, using this different color, we can now say that the permutation sigma here is not a cycle in S8. Because then again, for this permutation be a cycle in S8, it should only contain 1 orbit containing more than 1 element. Again, this has 4, that has 3, so it already violates the idea and the definition. So this is how we check whether a certain permutation sigma is a cycle here in S8. And of course, the same thing as we go through. Thank you very much for watching.